bump patch there, the GC259 of the Hoff, Glenn Coldenhoff. Who's going to grab that foxhole shot? 29 riders on the line then. Oh, and it's got to be Jorge Prado, hasn't it? It just has to be. So Prado grabs the advantage on the Red Bull KTM. I beg your pardon, the Red Bull Gas. So used to him on KTM. The two Yamahas behind though. And that's 959. Maxime Renault 259. Glenn Coldenhoff, and a good start again from Brian Bogus on the white Husqvarna. Jeremy C with a third of the factory Yamahas. It's up there as well in blue with the red pants. Coldenhoff tries to make it, or rather Renault tries to make an early move on Coldenhoff, but Coldenhoff's got that second place. Riding with a lot more confidence. It's taken him a long while to get properly acquitted to the Yamaha, Glenn Coldenhoff, but it's beginning to look like it's happened. He was on the rostrum last time out. So the two Yamahas together. Good start by Guadagnini as well. Top 6 for the rookie, who's just moved into the motocross Grand Prix scene. And then there's Geiser, Fernandez, Paul Jonas, Mitch Evans. That's the top 10. And the man on the microphone going suitably spare as Jorge Prado leads the way. There's C190, 101 there, Guadagnini ahead of 243, Tim Geiser. So this already a tight fought race in its early stages. Jorge Prado though leading the way, which is what the crowd want to see. Maxime Renault, though, has got the better of Glenn Coldenhoff and moved through into second place. And remember, he moved through and took the lead in race 1, and he just rode with outstanding confidence and ebullience to hang on to that lead, no matter how close Tim Geiser eventually got to him. Well, Prado's looking good as well. Prado had to settle for third place in race 1. The crowd desperately want him to do more in this one. I don't think there are many fans from outside of Spain here in Arroyomolinos, in the Into Xanadu racetrack. Tim Geiser still running behind Mattia Guadagnini, the new boy on the gas cask. So Guadagnini 101 on the Red Bull gas cask, leading the HRC factory Honda. Perhaps Geiser's just not quite fully restored to fighting fitness. You know, he was definitely very second-hand in Sardinia when he'd had that illness that had caused him not really to eat for 3 days because he'd been so sick. Jacobi in 21st place ahead of the Frenchman Benoit Paturel and Christophe Charlier. Prado looking very nice across that wave section, incidentally. Caught out Ben Watson in the qualifier yesterday and catapulted him. He simply overbalanced through the wave section and he was catapulted into the hoardings at the side of the track. And that's caused no breakages but extensive bruising to the Englishman, and he's not able to make the start. It was decided by the circuit doctors and his team, Antti Piran and the team manager, that Ben was better off sitting out this race and seeing if he could recover enough to race in Ernée in France next weekend. So we wish all the best to Ben and hope that he does manage to make that start line. And this man getting, well, if you want to be inspired by a cheering crowd, that's the crowd that's going to inspire you, a Spaniard on home soil. And at the moment, Jorge Prado's looking pretty competent. Look, not exactly running away with this race, but with a bit of a healthy gap on Maxime Renault, who was very bold in his first race victory. But right now, the gas is pulling away from the two Yamahas of Renault and Glenn Coldenhoff. Brian Bogus still strong in fourth place for Husqvarna, ahead of Jeremy Seewer, Guadagnini and Tim Geiser. Paul Jonas next up ahead of Evans, and then Jeremy Van Horebeke on the Italian Beta. Beta have been in Grand Prix racing before, you know, and that was back. Oh, look at the Silver Fox, looks quite confident there. Claudio De Carli, one-time mentor of Antonio Cairoli, who of course finished about 7th overall in his first go at the AMA Nationals in the 450 class. He's decided to come out of retirement, the 34-year-old Sicilian, and have a bash at fulfilling a lifelong dream of racing a season in the States on the national circuits there. So let's see how he gets on there. Another man making a comeback, Ryan Dungey, the former champion with KTM and with Suzuki. He made his comeback on KTM and finished 5th. So pretty impressive stuff from those old, well, relatively old boys. Of course, Dungey retired pretty young, didn't he? I was mentioning Beta, who've been in motocross Grand Prix before. Remember Jimmy? Oh, and Prado's gone down! Prado's gone down on lap 6. So Prado, who looked to be riding so confidently, has gone down, and that will drop him outside the top half dozen. There's Tim Geiser going through. Geiser passes him into 6th place. And suddenly, Maxime Renault has the lead to himself ahead of Glenn Coldenhoff, and it's a Yamaha 1-2 with their stablemate Jeremy Seewer in 4th place. In between them, the only man splitting him at the moment is Brian Bogus on the standing construct Husqvarna. So a surprising error by Jorge Prado drops him down to 7th place, ahead of his fellow Spaniard Ruben Fernandez on the 114 Motorsports Honda. Well, what a shock. So on lap 7, the lead for Maxime Renault, who so suddenly, as in last year's race, let's see what happened to Jorge Prado. Oh, and he just got it all wrong on landing. He just folded the bike up altogether on landing. Maxime Renault won't be worried about that, though, as long as it doesn't happen to him. He's looking confident in the lead now. Welcome back to the Spanish Motocross Grand Prix with 3 laps to go, and Maxime Renault leading the way handsomely. Jeremy Van Horebeke has crashed downfield again on the Italian Beta. But Maxime Renault and Glenn Coldenhoff soundly in 1st and 2nd places, ahead of Brian Bogus. Jeremy Seewer in 4th place ahead of Mattia Guadagnini, who continues to race ahead of Tim Geiser, and there doesn't seem to be anything that the tall Slovenian can do about it. Ruben Fernandez is next up because things have gone from bad to worse from Jorge Prado. He's slipping downfield. He's now back to 8th place and threatened by Mitch Evans on the 2nd of the HRC Hondas. I mentioned Beta, of course, because back in 1980, the first American, Jimmy Lee Pomeroy, did a season on Beta. He started off in 500 GPs and then ended up in 250 GPs. It was his swan song, really, in Grand Prix. The guy who'd come over and won the 1973 Spanish Grand Prix at Sabadell, just outside Barcelona, on a Bultaco, and therefore become a hero in Spain. Prado in 8th place, Evans in 9th, Paul Jonas in 10th. But this man, Brian Bogus, having a good weekend on territory you would expect. Oh, and there's the battle between Tim Geiser and the gas of Matteo Guadagnini, with Guadagnini still hanging on and holding off the champion-elect. And here's number 61, Jorge Prado, under pressure from Mitch Evans. Can the Australian find a way through? Evans looking to finish in 8th place. The crowd not as noisy as they once were. In fact, a lot of them have gone, look at that, a lot of them have gone home or gone off to the bullfight as soon as their man wasn't in the lead. That grandstand is relatively emptied. Amazing. Poor old Prado, he's doing his best for them. In eighth place, but under fire from Mitch Evans. 9.59, Maxime Renault leading the way onto his last lap. The number 75 of Hardy Rusiog of Estonia behind him, already lapped. Glenn Coldenhoff on the Monster Energy Yamaha, the second Monster Energy Yamaha coming up to lap Rusiog. And then there's Brian Bogus just behind him. So 2 Dutchmen in the top 3, 2 Yamahas in the top 3. So Renault and Coldenhoff at this rate will be headed for a Yamaha 1-2 on the podium. So it's the second successive podium for number 259, Glenn Coldenhoff. This will be 38 points and will actually put him level on points with Brian Bogus, but he'd win the tiebreaker on the better second race result. Here's Paul Jonas coming through, just ahead of Jorge Prado. Oh, and what's he doing back there? Prado's dropped back. Prado's dropped back even further. Here's come Valentin Guillot. So Guillot on the Hostetler Yamaha is right up with Jorge Prado. So Prado's back in about 10th place now behind Evans and Jonas. He's not having the finish to the day that he was expecting or hoping for in Spain. So Valentin Guillot right behind the Gasgas and threatening him now. Although he's a former Grand Prix winner in MX2, you don't expect this sort of form for Guillot, and he's just nudged Jorge Prado aside in pursuit of Paul Jonas, and Prado down to 11th place ahead of Alberto Ferrato and Calvin Vlanderen. Wow. Meanwhile, 9.59, Maxime Renault is going to do the double and once again waves his fist before the checkered flag goes out. Brilliant performance by Maxime Renault, and with Tim Geiser back in 6th place, that means he actually claws back a reasonable number of points on the Slovenian. Congratulations there from Glenn Coldenhoff. Well chuffed with one another there, with Brian Bogus congratulating his compatriot. It's great to see these guys discussing things at the end of a race. So Renault takes that one ahead of Coldenhoff and Bogus. See, we're in 4th. 3 Yamahas in the top 4. Guadagnini's Gasgas fends off Tim Geiser. Jonas 9th, Guillot 10th, and look at that, 11th for Prado ahead of Ferrato, Vlanderen, Monticelli, Jacobi and Tixier. Last point scorers, Jed Beaton, Benoit Pacharel and Alvin Ostland. And the overall then, Renault takes it on 50 points, full house. 2 38-pointers, Coldenhoff and Bogus. 37 for Geiser, 30 for Prado in 5th place, a point ahead of Guadagnini and Fernandez. Nobody saw that coming. I'll tell you what though, it means that 3rd place in the championship has changed again, because I would suspect that C was moved back ahead of Prado by a couple of points. Yes, he has. 292 to 290, 272 for Coldenhoff, 243 for Bogus, 242 for Fernandez in 7th place, well clear of Paul Jonas. 9th for Vlanderen, courtesy of that victory in Sardinia ahead of Van Ho.